On September 17, 1983, a crown was placed on a head that would change history. Vanessa Williams became the first black woman to be crowned Miss America. The moment was electric. On millions of television screens, people saw a barrier shatter. It was a picture-perfect ending to a fairy tale, or at least, that's what it was supposed to be. But history has a complicated relationship with its pioneers. It celebrates them with one hand and tests them with the other. For Vanessa Williams, the test began the second the crown touched her hair. Behind the dazzling lights and the sea of smiling faces, a different story was unfolding, one of invisible forces and unbearable pressure. This wasn't just a victory. It was the beginning of a battle she never asked to fight. From the very first day of her reign, the air was different. The congratulations were often followed by a hesitant pause, a look of scrutiny. She wasn't just another Miss America. She was the first black Miss America. Every step she took, every word she spoke, was magnified and analyzed under a lens no previous winner had ever endured. The weight wasn't just in the crown. It was in the expectation to be perfect, to be a flawless representative for an entire race, all while navigating a system that wasn't built for her. Some were anonymous, others brazenly signed. They questioned her legitimacy, her beauty, her very right to hold the title. Imagine being celebrated as a national icon, while simultaneously being told you don't belong, that your victory was a mistake. This hostility wasn't just from anonymous bigots, it seeped into the very institution she now represented. Commitments were vague. Endorsements were scrutinized. There was a palpable sense of caution, as if her presence was a risk, not an asset. The rules of the pageant, which had always been open to interpretation, were now applied to her with an unyielding rigidity. Small, insignificant issues for past winners became major points of contention for her. She was isolated. While traveling the country, she often felt like a solo act, carrying a burden that was impossibly heavy. She was expected to be a diplomat, a role model, a performer, and a spokesperson, all while weathering a storm of personal attacks. The quiet moments backstage weren't a respite. They were filled with the whispers and sideways glances that reminded her she was different. She was under a microscope, with everyone just waiting for a crack to appear, for one misstep that would prove their biases right. And then the crack they were looking for was manufactured. A scandal erupted, but it wasn't one of her making. Private, intimate photographs taken years before she ever dreamed of being Miss America were dredged up and sold to a magazine. These were photos taken in a context of trust, long before she was a public figure, without the power or agency to protect herself. In a just world, she would have been seen as the victim of a gross violation of privacy, but this wasn't a just world. It could have been the end of a career, a retreat into obscurity. But for Vanessa Williams, it was fuel. She refused to be defined by that moment. With grace and an iron will, she began to rebuild. She channeled her talent and her pain into her art. She launched a music career that would see her climb the charts, earning Grammy nominations and selling millions of records. Songs like Save the Best for Last became anthems, not just of romantic love, but of personal triumph over adversity. She became a fixture on television and in film, proving her versatility and winning over audiences as a respected and beloved actress. She built a brand base not on a pageant title, but on her own undeniable talent, hard work, and dignity. She didn't just survive, she thrived on her own terms. Years later, in 2015, the Miss America pageant invited her back, this time as a head judge, in a moment that brought her journey full circle. The CEO of the organization stood on stage and offered her a public, long overdue apology. He acknowledged the injustice, admitting that the organization had been wrong. The applause that night was for a different kind of victory. Victory of survival, of grace, and of ultimate vindication. The story of Vanessa Williams is more than just the story of a pageant queen. It's a powerful lesson about what it means to be first. It reveals an uncomfortable truth that society often crowns its pioneers only to set them up for a fall. Being the first means walking a tightrope without a net, carrying the weight of history on your shoulders, and facing scrutiny that no one who comes after will ever fully understand. Her journey exposes the invisible systems of power that work to maintain the status quo, even under the guise of progress. But, most importantly, it's a testament to the power of the human spirit. Vanessa Williams was crowned to be a symbol, and then targeted for it. They took her crown, but they could not take her strength, her talent, or her future. She didn't just rise from the ashes. She built an empire from them,